Today, we're diving into a text with a really chilling argument that a forgotten science fiction film from 2011 isn't just sci-fi anymore. It might just be the most terrifyingly accurate documentary about our lives right now.
So let's just jump right in with this comparison. On the left, you've got the world of the movie In Time. There's a glowing clock literally ticking down on your arm, and that time, well, that is your money. Your life force is your currency. Then look at the right. That's us. The clock might not be on our skin, but the argument here is that it's just as real, glowing from our phone screens, constantly measuring our engagement, our productivity, our very existence.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the film itself, then dig into how our lives have become this new kind of raw material. We'll look at the systems that create our modern crises, and then explore a pretty wild technological solution and the absolutely terrifying choice it forces on us.
First up, sci-fi or documentary. You know, when In Time first came out, critics kind of shrugged it off, said it was a bit shallow. But the source we're looking at today says that if you watch it now, with our modern eyes, through this lens of constant burnouts, wow, it feels a lot less like fiction and way more like a warning we completely missed.
The whole idea of the movie is just brutally simple. A cup of coffee costs you minutes of your life. Your rent costs you days. The poor are always rushing, literally running out of time, and then they die. Meanwhile, the rich can live forever. The source argues this isn't just some clever dystopian idea, it's a perfect metaphor for how our economy has learned to put a price on every single second of our lives.
And that brings us to what the text calls a new kind of surplus value. You know, the classic idea was that companies made money from the extra unpaid work you did on the factory floor. But what if that's old news? What if the system has evolved to extract value not just from your work, but from your entire being?
To really get this, we have to talk about a concept called capitalist realism. The philosopher Mark Fisher described it as this suffocating feeling. It's the sense that the market isn't just a part of our lives anymore, it is our life. It's like the air we breathe. The logic of buying and selling has soaked into everything, our culture, our dreams, our relationships, until we can't even imagine anything else.
So the whole transaction has changed. It's not just about selling your 8 hours at the office anymore. Now we're being pushed to sell our personalities on social media, to monetize our hobbies with side hustles. We're even turning our sleep and our most private, intimate relationships into content. Nothing is off limits.
But why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Well, this is where Byung-Chul Han's idea of the burnout society is so brilliant. He argues that the old-school boss yelling at you to work harder has been replaced. We've internalized that voice. We've become our own taskmasters, our own harshest critics, constantly pushing ourselves to be more productive, to optimize everything.
And this quote just nails the mindset of hustle culture. That whole mantra of working while they sleep, we see it as a badge of honor, right? A sign of ambition. But this reframes it as us voluntarily accepting a system that sees our human need for rest as a bug, a weakness that needs to be engineered away. And here's the terrifying twist. For us, burnout feels like a personal failure, like we've broken down. But from the system's point of view, our exhaustion is a feature, not a bug. It's a sign that it is working perfectly, that it's successfully squeezing every last drop of time and energy out of us.
So how does this whole thing keep going? The source uses this incredible analogy, the pyromaniac firefighter. The system has gotten really good at starting fires, just so it can turn around and charge us for the fire extinguisher. It's like breaking our legs and then selling us the crutches.
And there's a playbook for it. It's brutally effective. Step 1. You weaken or get rid of public goods. Think reliable public transport, affordable housing, social safety nets. Step 2. This creates a crisis. People can't get to work, they can't find a place to live, they feel totally alone. Step 3. The private market swoops in with a shiny, app-based solution that you now have to pay for.
And you see this playbook everywhere. You underfund public transit for decades, housing prices go insane, and boom, Uber and Airbnb show up to monetize the prices. They don't fix the core problem, but they make a fortune from it. The source says the same logic is at work in our social lives. As we get more isolated, dating apps turn the very human search for connection into a subscription service.
And this all leads to a really dark conclusion. When our relationships become a job, like with influencer couples or on platforms like OnlyFans, intimacy itself becomes just another asset on the balance sheet. The argument is that once all the forests have been cut down and all the oil has been drilled, the market turns inward to colonize the very last frontier, our own bodies, our own relationships.
Okay, after all that,
which is, let's be honest, incredibly bleak, the text does something really unexpected. It pivots and asks a massive question. A question that, until recently, was pure science fiction. What if the real problem isn't the economic system itself, but us? Our greed, our biases, our irrationality. What if we could build an economy that wasn't run by messy human emotions, but by pure, cold, unbiased logic? Now, you might be thinking, hang on, didn't we try planned economies in the 20th century? They were a disaster. And you'd be right. They failed because of something called the economic calculation problem. Basically, it was impossible for humans to process enough data to run a complex society efficiently. But here's the thing. Companies like Amazon and Walmart are already running massive internal planned economies, using AI and big data to predict what we want before we do. That old technological barrier, it might be gone. This opens the door to a wild speculative idea, cyber socialism. Imagine an AI, totally free of greed or ego, managing the world's resources. Its only goals would be maximum efficiency and meeting every human's basic needs, not profit. The text suggests this could be the end of poverty, the end of the constant pressure to monetize our lives. The clock could finally stop ticking against us.
But, and you knew there had to be a but, right? Before we get too excited and hand over the keys to the world to a supercomputer, the source forces us to stop and consider the final massive risk.
The risk isn't some evil Skynet-style AI that wants to destroy us. No, the risk is creating a benevolent tyranny. An AI like this could probably end world hunger in a week. It would be logical, efficient, and, by all measures, good. But that goodness would come at a price that might be everything that makes us human.
So what's the cost of this perfect, managed world? Well, we might lose the freedom to make stupid mistakes, the right to be inefficient, the ability to live a life that is messy and beautiful and poetic, not just productive. We would be trading our chaotic, unpredictable humanity for a perfectly safe, perfectly stable, and maybe perfectly empty existence. And this presents the ultimate dilemma. We risk building the perfect cage. Not a cruel one, a comfortable one. A digital god that takes care of us, but from which there is absolutely no escape. You can't overthrow it. You can't bribe it. You can't even reason with it. It's absolute.
And so that leaves us right here, with the question at the very heart of this whole thing. If the big problem isn't technology but philosophy, can we, right now, even imagine a way to value our time that has nothing to do with money? Or are we just doomed to keep running, watching that clock on our screens tick down, waiting for it to hit zero?